Alright, so this next poet, I'm gonna use my jazzy voice. You gotta pretend I'm wearing shades, which are pointless, but I'm a jazz musician, so I can wear whatever I want. Okay, hold on. Let's thank y'all for attending the Kick Butt Jazz Review. This next poet comes straight out of Chicago. Me and her played together. We did a set with Pine Top Perkins and Bob Barker. This next poet is so cool. Thank you for the crowd participation. One person who answered. I appreciate you. Everybody else, we're going to talk about your life choice, but that's neither here nor there. This next poet is so cool that she makes ice cubes sweat. I say this next poet is so cool that she's way cooler than Mike wearing shades for no reason. This next poet is so cool.
How cool is she?
That when he heard her for the first time, a man by the name of Donald Trump said, "Fuck it, I'll never be as good as her, I'll just run for president." Put your hands together for Janet Kuypers.
So, it was my fault that I got Donald Trump to run for president. It's all my fault. I'm going to apologize to any little ones who might not like the things that they're about to hear.
You sing that for Brian?
Brian hit the stage without a disclaimer.
What a fucked up place. You see, I gotta think of it this way. I really had no choice but to do what I did. In a way, it was in self-defense because I didn't want that little piece of shit to try to do that to me. I mean, what makes him think that he can do that to me? Where does he get off trying to take me like I'm some butcher shop piece of meat, like he can just buy and abuse or whatever? Well, anyway, I know a part of it all was self-defense and all, but at the same time, I know I flipped because of, well, shit that happened in my past. I never even came from any rich family like you. I never even came from a family with a dad. And if you go around all your life, all your mom's got all these boyfriends coming in and going and hitting you and touching you and whatever, you know it's gonna mess you up. Yeah, I know people try to use the "my parents beat me" line, and it's getting to the point where nobody really believes it anymore. But you know, if everyone has to go through their life suppressing all this stuff that they shouldn't have to suppress, then one day it's just going to come out and it's going to just punch you in the face, or else it's going to make you go a little crazy, even if it's just for a little while. What you just heard is a microcosm, a bit of a snippet from the feature that is going to be coming up in the next Kick Butt Poetry in 2 weeks on April 23rd. I am honored to be a feature here at this fine establishment, and I am reading a short story that is called Crazy. And I would love it if everyone and their brother would show up, and that was your little invite, your teaser, just to see how crazy I could be. And for that I will give two very, very short poems and one poem from this year. This is a really short one called Tall Man. I can feel your presence across the room. A movement, a stir. Your long shadow stretches across the walls. An occasional glance. I'll take whatever I can take. A stranger, yet I feel I know you all too well. Thank you. Only slightly longer. This one's called There I Sit. There I sit. I sit alone, separated, isolated, away from my only love, my obsession. I pull out a fountain pen. I look at the lines, the contours of his face, defining the piercing eyes, the pointed nose, the tender lips. I feverishly draw, I sketch, I capture his image. I stare, I gaze, I memorize his every detail. But he never looks back. So I will draw until my fountain pen runs dry. Thank you. This one is one that I wrote in the beginning of this year. It is called Optimizing Your Odds. When the bad news comes, do you run away? After a life-threatening blow, do you just give up? Or do you smile and find a way to get ahead? My friend Warren, bless his soul, he plays songs I wanted to cover in our band and not just more Stevie Ray Vaughan. He'd drive in a car with me for 3 hours so that we could be in a radio show interview together. He'd play guitar at my wedding. And when my friend Warren, bless his soul, contracted ALS, his smile never faded. He'd go out on group walks to get money to look for a cure, and even when the ALS intensified and his muscles failed him, they got him a wheelchair and a voice box so his thoughts could sound like Stephen Hawking. His high school even planned their reunion at his favorite bar, and at McDivitt's, the women still flocked to him, and not skipping a beat, Warren would still flatter every woman he saw with his Stephen Hawking voice, and everyone that night left happier just for knowing him. His desire to live, and more importantly, his friendly demeanor, made every uphill battle seem like it was no efforts at all. Like he's seated, leaning back and letting the wheels take you wherever you needed to go. And every single one of us, all of our lives, are never prepared for the struggles we face. But I have learned, and you can too, that we can still win over impossible odds. And sometimes we don't have control. But it's the same thing as driving a car, of letting those wheels take you where you need to go. And we don't know how the gears in that car work, but we trust it, and we have the same trust of every other driver on the road. And sometimes we give up control, knowing that it's for the best. We get on an airplane and we trust the pilot, sit in our seats, insert the seat belt till it clicks us in, place our seat trays into upright and locked position, and give up control. Even for us, control freaks, we know we can't do everything on our own. And lucky for us, once we give up a little control, look at all the places we can go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
One more time for Janet Kuypers, ladies and gentlemen.